3 months into my marriage, my husband walked through the front door of my home, the home my parents spent their entire life savings to buy for me, and gave a tour to his mother like it was already hers. The upstairs for my parents, the downstairs for my sister. He didn't ask. He didn't whisper. He announced it, calm as a man reading a grocery list. And I stood there holding a fruit platter, watching him carve up my life in real time. That moment, I made a decision. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I smiled, and I asked one question so sharp, so perfectly aimed, it drained every drop of color from his face and left his mother speechless for the very first time. What happened next would end our marriage, expose a scheme years in the making, and teach me the most important lesson of my adult life. The people who claim to love you the most are sometimes the ones you need to protect yourself from the most. If you've ever been taken for granted by someone you trusted, stay right here. This story is for you. Every lesson in this story hit close to home for a reason. If it resonated with you, drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe so you never miss a story like this one. This content was manually researched, developed, and edited by our team with the intention of delivering meaningful stories and real-life lessons to our audience.
My husband stood with his mother on his arm, carving up the townhouse my parents bought me like it was a damn turkey. Upstairs is for my folks. Downstairs is perfect for my sister and her kid. You'll get keys made tomorrow. I got to my feet, a smile forming as I prepared the sentence that would shatter the fantasy. Their jaws just dropped. This spot is incredible. Upstairs for my parents, downstairs for my sister and her son, Brian said, his arm hooked through his mother's. He was standing in the middle of my living room, gesturing like some feudal lord dividing up his new lands. He said it so casually, like he was deciding where to put old boxes. I was coming from the kitchen with a tray of fruit when I heard him. My fingers clenched, and the ceramic plate scraped loudly against the granite. Sharon's face instantly soured. "Jessica, be careful. These plates look pricey. With everyone moving in, you'll have to be more careful." I put the tray down slowly, staring at them. Brian, my husband of 3 whole months, wore a self-satisfied smirk, like he was thinking, "Good, she's finally getting it." Sharon was already on the balcony, admiring the garden view. "This is perfect, Brian. So much easier for your father's walks." "Mom, the master bedroom has its own bath. It's yours," Brian added, before finally turning his attention to me. "Jess, we'll make the office a room for my nephew. He needs a quiet study space." This place, 1,400 square feet, 3 bedrooms, was bought with my parents' life savings. It was my wedding gift, my future. They'd said their place was being renovated, that this was just for a little while. I never thought temporary meant a full-scale family invasion. "Brian," my voice came out eerily calm. "What was that? Say it again." He paused, then came toward me with that placating smile, reaching for my shoulder. "Honey, you're always so reasonable. My parents are getting old. My sister is a struggling single mom. This house is huge. It's a shame to leave it so empty." "Empty?" I cut in, gesturing around my furnished living room. "This is my home. Our home is the one being renovated, the one you said had paint fumes." Sharon whirled around, her expression like stone. "Jessica, what is that tone? When you marry, you become one family. No more yours or mine. His family is your family now." I took a breath, and the last 3 months flashed before my eyes. Sharon at our wedding, demanding my parents give us more money. The first month, finding out he'd given his mother his debit card to manage. Last week, hearing him on the phone, "What's hers will be ours soon enough." I'd called it growing pains. Now I just called it a scam. "Jess just needs a minute to process," he said, turning that look on me, the one that always worked. "Honey, you believe in family helping family. My parents worked their whole lives. My sister is doing this alone. We can help them, so we should, right?" Sharon nodded. "Exactly. You need to fix your attitude, Jessica. A wife's priority is her husband's family. It's the right thing to do, letting them live in this empty house. It's what I had to do. My parents gave me this home, this safety, and I had to deserve it. I stared at Brian, my voice ice. In all your grand plans, did you ever once ask me what I wanted? Did it ever cross your mind this is my house? That's when his smug look finally cracked. What's that supposed to mean? We're married. What's yours is mine by law. I just raised an eyebrow. Is it? Sensing the shift, Sharon tried a softer approach, her tone still laced with condescension. Jessica, I know you're not used to a big family. Why don't you just try it? We can talk later if you're still unhappy. Talk later? After they've moved in? I looked at Brian's hopeful face, at Sharon's fake generosity, and a bitter laugh almost escaped me. 3 months ago, I wore a white dress, thinking I'd found my partner for life. Now he was demanding I surrender my parents' legacy to bankroll his family. Brian, I said, rising slowly, a smile touching my lips that felt like a mask. You're right. We're married. Brian's face lit up. I knew you'd understand. Sharon beamed. That's my girl. I held their gaze. So by that logic, your premarital condo, we should probably add my parents' names to the deed, right? What's yours is mine, after all. The room went absolutely still. The blood drained from Brian's face. Sharon's mouth opened and closed like a fish. I kept smiling sweetly. And about your nephew's school, your condo is in an even better district, closer too. So, how about your family moves into your condo and we stay here? It's perfect. You, his finger trembled as he pointed at me. How can you be so calculating? Calculating? I tilted my head, my smile fixed. Didn't you start this conversation? Sunlight streamed into the room, making everything glow. I remembered picking out the paint colors with my mom, and now these two were trying to steal it. Sharon found her voice, shrill and sharp. What is this attitude? We welcomed you because you seemed respectable, not to scheme against us. Sharon, I said, my smile gone, my voice ice. This house is in my name, only my name. It's a premarital asset. It has nothing to do with Brian, just like his condo has nothing to do with me. That's what yours is yours means. Agreed? Brian was vibrating with anger. Fine. Fine. I guess I never really knew you. Guarding your assets from the start. Right back at you, I shot back. If you hadn't come here today to parcel out my home, I'd never have realized I married into your family's 30-year free housing scheme. I went to the front door and swung it wide open. The tour's over. You can come back tonight, Brian, or not. Your choice. I turned to face them. But from now on, no one enters this house unless I invite them. That includes you. The second the door clicked shut, I heard Sharon's wailing and Brian's enraged bellow. I slid down the door to the floor, my hands shaking, but my eyes were dry. 3 months. From love story to long con in 3 months. Are you crazy? I knew she was no good. So arrogant. Mom, shut up. Jessica, open the door. Let's talk. I just sat there, my back against the wood, listening to their little play. It was almost laughable. Talk. They didn't want to talk when they were divvying up my future. I took out my phone and dialed. Hi, sweetie, my mom's voice said. How are you? How's Brian? A lump formed in my throat. For 3 months, every call home had been a performance of happiness. I'd painted a perfect picture. Brian was amazing. His mom was just old-fashioned. Marriage was wonderful. My parents had their doubts from the start. It wasn't about money, it was Sharon's sneering attitude the first time they met her. They'd seen it all along. I was the idiot who'd promised my parents everything was fine. I'm marrying him, not his mother, I'd chirped. What a fool. Mom, I choked out, then cleared my throat, forcing the tremor from my voice. How are you and Dad? We're good, honey, but you sound off, she said, that maternal radar already pinging. Did you and Brian have a fight? No, just a cold, I lied, not ready to unload this disaster on her. Listen, Mom, quick question. The deed to my townhouse, you still have it, right? Safe? Of course, sweetheart. It's in our safe deposit box. Why? Just checking, I said, pausing. And it's 100% in my name only, correct? Absolutely. We paid it off in full before you were married. That's your nest egg, Jess." My mother's tone sharpened. "Jessica, be honest with me. Is Brian's family trying to make a play for the house?" My silence was an answer. "I knew it," she snapped. "The way they kept asking whose name was on the deed. I knew something was wrong. Honey, that house is your father's and my life's work. Nobody is touching it." "I know, Mom," I whispered. "I was just making sure." "Jess, marriage is one thing, but finances are another." My dad's voice suddenly boomed through the phone. "If his family is targeting that house, you tell us right now. A premarital asset is untouchable. The law is clear on that. No one takes advantage of our daughter." A wave of warmth, chased by a bitter sting of sadness, washed over me. "I know, Dad. Don't worry." After a few more hollow pleasantries, I hung up, noticing the chatter outside my bedroom door had stopped. I got up and peered through the peephole. The hallway was clear. Good. I walked back into the living room, my eyes tracing the lines of the home I'd built. Every pillow, every pot, every single thing in this place was chosen by me. The plush gray sofa, the cream-colored rug, the plants soaking up sun on the balcony. 3 months ago, Brian moved in with a single suitcase. He'd wrapped his arms around me and said, "Home is you, Jess. That's all that matters." I'd nearly cried. Now I see it wasn't that things didn't matter. It was that he never planned on this place being just for us. My phone buzzed, a text from him. "Jess, Mom and I were out of line. We weren't thinking. Can I come home and we can talk this through? Please." I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering. Another message popped up. "Mom went home. I'm coming back now. We're husband and wife. We can fix this." "Can we?" I didn't respond. 5 minutes later, he called. I watched the screen flash hubby until it went dark. He called again. The third time, I picked up and said nothing. "Jess?" Brian's voice was tentative, coated in that careful sweetness I now saw was poison. "Are you still upset? I'm sorry about my mom. She's just old school, blunt." "Don't even worry about it, Brian," I said, cutting him off. "Your mom is blunt. What's your excuse?" I was just worried. My parents' place doesn't have an elevator and Dad's knees are bad. My sister's struggling. I was just thinking about them." "So you worry about your parents. You worry about your sister, and the answer is to plot a takeover of my house." My voice was unnervingly calm. "Brian, we've been married for 3 months, and you already see my property as your family's free-for-all." "It's not a plot, Jess. How could you say that?" He whined. "We're a family. We help each other. It's not like you're using all the rooms. What's the big deal about letting family stay?" "I never said they couldn't visit, but you two were dividing my house up like spoils of war." "We'd take the master bedroom," he offered. "Oh, so I should thank you? For letting me keep my own bedroom after you turned my house into a commune?" I had to laugh. "Brian, you're a genius. Use my house to fix your family's living situation, rent out your condo for cash flow, and wait for it to appreciate. It's brilliant." The other end of the line went dead silent. I'd hit the bullseye. "You've been planning this for a while, haven't you?" I pushed. "Find a girl with a house, get the family settled, and keep your own assets appreciating. Brian, your family wasn't looking for a daughter-in-law. You were looking for a real estate investment." "Jessica!" His act shattered, his voice turning shrill. "That's an ugly thing to say. What investor? I married you because I love you." "Love me?" The word felt like ash in my mouth. "You love me so much you gave your debit card to your mother a month after we got married. You love me so much you had me buy my parents extravagant gifts while yours got nothing. You love me so much you brought your mom here to stake her claim on my property." "I already told you," he stammered. "My mom was helping us save. Your parents are loaded. They don't care about gifts." His voice was weak, desperate. "Brian," I said, suddenly bone-tired, "I want a divorce." A sharp, shocked breath on the other end. "What? What did you just say?" I said, "Let's get a divorce." "Are you insane, Jessica? Over this? It's a small thing. Small? My voice finally cracked with rage. Your entire family conspiring to take my home is not a small thing. Today you're moving them in without asking me. What's tomorrow? Kicking my parents out for yours? Selling this place to pay for your nephew's tuition? I would never do that. How could you even think that? How am I supposed to think of you? I shot back. A man who says he loves me while plotting to steal my assets? A husband who thinks what's mine is yours is a one-way street? The line went dead. I stood there, phone in hand, and a laugh bubbled out of me, sharp and broken. And then the laugh turned into sobs. Not for the marriage, for me. For the naive girl who walked down the aisle 3 months ago, heart bursting with hope. For the complete idiot who thought love was enough. My phone rang again. Olivia. "Hey girl, what's up?" Her cheerful voice sang out. "Liv?" I tried, but my voice shattered. "Whoa, what's wrong? Did Brian do something?" Her tone flipped, instantly protective. "Where are you?" "Home. I'm on my way." "No, don't. I'm fine," I lied, wiping at my cheeks. "Just tired." "Don't even start. You sound like hell. Is it his mother again? Or that freeloading sister?" Olivia never trusted him. She'd always said he had a calculating look in his eyes. She said his family felt like a pack of parasites. I'd actually fought with her over it, told her she was being unfair. Hindsight's a real jerk. "Liv," I sniffled, "if I get a divorce." "Does that make me a failure?" "A failure? Are you kidding?" She yelled into the phone. Seeing a guy's true colors in 3 months isn't failure. It's a successful diagnosis. It's damage control. "Jessica Miller, if you divorce that leech, I will light fireworks for 3 days straight. Now spill. What happened?" I gave her the whole ugly story. The line was quiet for a long, heavy 10 seconds. Then a slow, deep breath. "Oh my God," she said, "a whole clan of vampires, and they think they're entitled to your blood. Change the locks. Tomorrow. Who the hell does he think he is? Is his name on the deed?" "No." "Then what are you scared of?" Olivia's voice was pure steel. "Jess, listen. You have to divorce him. Now. If they move in, you will never get them out. They'll turn your life into a nightmare." But what? You can't stand to lose that parasite?" "It's not him," I whispered. "It's a divorce after 3 months. What will everyone say?" "Everyone? Who's everyone? Those nosy relatives who love drama, so-called friends waiting for you to fail?" Olivia was on a roll. "Jess, this is your life. Who cares what they think? What's so bad about a 3-month divorce? It's a million times better than being miserable for 3 years, or 30. She softened her tone. "Jess, remember what you were like in college? You said you'd never settle for anyone's crap. You'd never let anyone make you feel small. Where did that fiery, brilliant Jessica go? You've been married 3 months and you sound defeated." The Jessica from college. The firecracker, Olivia used to call me. When did I start putting up with so much? Was it when I fell for Brian? Or the first time his mother told me a good wife was a quiet one? "Liv," I said, staring at my blotchy reflection in the dark window. "You're right. Damn right I am, so what's your game plan?" "Separation first," I stated. "I need to talk to my parents about the divorce, but he is never stepping foot in this house again." "You need a lawyer. My cousin is a shark who specializes in divorce and asset protection." "Not yet, but get me his number and ask him this for me. If we divorce, is there any scenario where Brian gets part of this house?" "Zero chance," Olivia said instantly. "It's a premarital asset, paid off, in your name only. He won't get a single floorboard. But watch out for him trying to claim he paid for improvements or something stupid. Did you guys do any big renovations?" "No, just bought some furniture." "Good. Keep every single receipt." "Did he ever buy me anything pricey?" "No. But I'd bought him a watch for over $2,000 and a gold bracelet for his mother." "Chalk it up to the scumbag charity fund," Olivia hissed. "Hold on, texting my cousin now. Lock your doors tonight. I have a bad feeling that creep will show up." After we hung up, I watched the evening bleed into the sky. My phone lit up with another text from Brian. Jess, I messed up. Can we please talk? I'm downstairs. I'm not leaving until you come down. I moved to the window, pulling the blinds apart just enough. There he was under a streetlight, flowers in hand. He looked pathetic under the dim light. The woman I was 3 months ago would have caved. Now all I felt was a cold, hollow laugh in my chest. How much did those flowers cost? A month of his nephew's tutoring? A single square foot of the house they wanted so badly? I let the blinds fall and killed the living room lights. My phone buzzed in the dark. It wasn't Brian. A strange number. I answered. Hello, Jessica? A woman's voice, syrupy sweet. This is Linda, Brian's sister. He said you were upset. I'm just calling to try and help smooth things over. You know, families shouldn't fight. I hung up on her and blocked the number. Then I walked to my office, opened a drawer, and pulled out the red folder holding the deed to my home. The words Certificate of Title gleamed under the lamplight. I opened it. Registered owner, Jessica Miller, a single woman. Those words felt like armor. So beautiful, so powerful. I clutched the folder to my chest. This was my house, my parents' hard work, my line in the sand. No one was touching it. I could faintly hear Brian calling from the street. Jess, open up, let's just talk. I tuned him out, walked into my bedroom, and locked the door. I needed to sleep. Tomorrow was for fighting. The next morning, the doorbell ripped me from my sleep. I checked my phone. 7:30 a.m. The ringing wouldn't stop, mixed with loud banging. I looked through the peephole. Not Brian. It was Sharon, my mother-in-law, flanked by Brian's sister, Linda, and her 6-year-old son, Kevin. Jessica, open this door. I know you're in there. Sharon's voice was a drill, loud enough for the whole hallway to hear. I rubbed my eyes. My sleep was shot, but my head was perfectly clear. I didn't move. I went back to my room, put on a decent outfit, and splashed water on my face. Then I walked to the door. Jessica, if you don't open up, I'm calling the building manager. Brian is your husband. He has a right to be here. Her voice was pure screech. I took a slow breath and yanked the door open. The three of them froze, unprepared. Sharon's hand was still raised to pound on the wood. Sharon, Linda, it's so early. Is everything all right? I asked, my voice dangerously calm, a small smile on my face. Sharon, flustered for a second, recovered and scowled. You have some nerve. Brian was downstairs all night waiting for you. You wouldn't even see him. Is that how a wife behaves? Yeah, Aunt Jess, Linda chimed in, holding her son's hand. Couples argue, but locking my brother out is just cruel. Mom was so worried she didn't sleep at all. Kevin stared up at me. Aunt Jess, Uncle Brian said you wouldn't let him in. He's really sad. Wow, the whole family on the attack. The moral outrage, the emotional blackmail, the kid for the guilt trip. Brian's a grown man with 2 feet. He can go where he likes, I said, stepping back. Come in. Let's not air this in the hallway. The second they were inside, Sharon and Linda's eyes were everywhere, not like guests, but like conquerors surveying their prize. Is this real leather? Linda asked, stroking the couch arm, her voice thick with envy. Must have cost a lot. Jessica, we need to talk, Sharon announced. She stood in the center of my living room, striking a pose like the queen of everything. You were completely out of line. Brian arranged for us to move in because he sees you as one of us. How could you be so cruel? He values me? I laughed. That's a twisted way to show it, Sharon. Starting by trying to take my house. Don't use such an ugly word, Sharon snapped. This isn't your house. It's yours and Brian's marital home, a community asset. The deed is in my name. My parents paid for it in full before we were married, I said, smiling, my voice like ice. Legally, it's called premarital property. It has zero to do with Brian, and it's definitely not a community asset. Linda jumped in. Jessica, that's not fair. You married into the Collins family. You're a Collins. What's yours belongs to all of us. Why are you being so selfish? Is that how it works, Linda? I turned on her. When you divorced, did you give your ex-husband half of your condo? By that logic, he had a right to it. Linda's face turned beet red. That's different. How? I pushed. They're both premarital assets. She had nothing. Sharon saw she was losing and switched gears, her voice dripping with fake honey. Jessica, honey, I know Brian was a bit rushed. He should have talked to you first, but we're family. Look, how about this? You and Brian take the master, the 2 rooms upstairs for me and your father-in-law, and the downstairs room for Linda and Kevin. We'll just stay for a while until Kevin's settled in school, then we'll be out of your hair. How's that? Stay for a little while, I repeated. How long is that, Sharon? A year? 2? Until Kevin finishes grade school? She was stunned. Sharon, let's just be honest, I said, leaning back against the dining table, arms crossed. The plan was for you to stay here forever, wasn't it? Long enough to turn it into a marital home and somehow get Brian's name on the deed. What are you talking about? She shrieked as if I'd scorched her. Am I that kind of person? I don't know, I said evenly. But when Brian was mapping out the rooms yesterday, he never said temporarily. He said upstairs for my parents, downstairs for my sister and nephew. That sounded pretty permanent to me. Linda couldn't stop herself. Jessica, why are you so petty? Families are supposed to support each other. You help us now. We help you later. Help me? I laughed. Linda, how exactly are you going to help me? Are you going to help me pay the mortgage? Oh, right, I don't have one. Help take care of my parents? Linda was speechless again. Suddenly, Kevin ran and hugged my leg. Aunt Jess, I want to live here. It's so nice. Our place is so small. The kid looked up at me, his eyes wide and innocent. For a split second, my heart ached, but it hardened again. It wasn't his fault. It was the greed of the adults using him as a pawn. I knelt down, stroking his hair. Kevin, this is Uncle Brian in my home. You can always come visit, but you can't live here, okay? He nodded, then shook his head. But Uncle Brian said this is our new house now. Kevin! Linda snapped, yanking him back, her face a mask of fury. Don't talk nonsense. Seeing that nothing was working, Sharon finally dropped all pretense. Jessica, I'm putting my foot down. The Collins family is moving in. Brian is your husband. He has a right to be here. We're his family, so we have a right too. If you know what's good for you, you'll agree, and we can move past this. If I don't, what? I stood up straight, my voice cold steel. If you don't, then don't blame me for being a difficult mother-in-law, Sharon sneered, pointing at my face. I'll make Brian divorce you. See who wants a divorced woman like you. So that was it. The final card. Give up my home or get divorced. In their world, divorce was the ultimate threat. They'd completely misjudged me. Sharon, I said, walking slowly to the door and pulling it open wide. You're right. Divorce is on the table. And since you brought it up, let me be perfectly clear. I turned to face them, hitting every word. This house is mine. No one is touching it. If Brian wants his whole family to move in with him, he can wait until I'm 6 feet under. And yes, if Brian wants a divorce, I'm ready any time. You're insane. Sharon was shaking with rage. Linda grabbed her arm, glaring at me. Jessica, you are going to regret this. Regret it? I laughed a real laugh, sharp and final. The only thing I regret is marrying into your family. Now get out. I'm not going anywhere. This is my son's house, Sharon shouted, plopping herself down on my couch. Go on, call the cops. See if they'll arrest me. Are you sure about this? I said, phone in hand. Trespassing is a crime. You really want to spend a night in a jail cell at your age? Sharon's face fell. She never thought I'd actually call the police. You wouldn't dare. I'd already dialed 911 and held up the screen for her to see. I'm counting to 3. 1. Mom, let's go. Linda was younger. She knew I wasn't playing. She yanked on Sharon's arm. We'll figure this out at home. Sharon stumbled toward the door, still spitting insults. Just you wait, Jessica. My son must have been blind to marry a bitch like you. The screaming made Kevin burst into tears. I ignored them all. The second they were outside, I slammed the door shut. Leaning against it, I heard Sharon's curses and Linda's attempts to calm her down. It was a mess, but I felt strangely peaceful. I walked to the window and watched the three of them leave. Sharon kept glaring back at my window. Linda was on the phone, no doubt calling Brian. A minute later, my phone rang. It was him. I answered, but stayed silent. "Jessica, what the hell did you do to my mom?" Brian yelled. "You almost gave her a heart attack. She's an old woman. Can't you show her some respect?" "Respect is earned, Brian," I said evenly. "Your family showed up at 7:30 this morning, screaming at me and trying to take over my house. How was I supposed to respect that? Should I have knelt and handed them the deed?" "She's my mother. So what if a mother-in-law lectures you?" "So being elderly gives her a right to be awful?" I shot back. "Brian, you still think this is my fault?" He stuttered, then his voice softened. "Jess, let's not fight. I'm exhausted. I waited all night. Then my sister called saying you made my mom cry. Can we just talk?" "Talk about what? How to divide my house for your family?" "It's not dividing, it's borrowing," he corrected. "Jess, try to see my side. My parents are old. My sister is struggling. I'm the only man in the family. Who else is going to help them?" "You can help them," I said. "With your condo, your money, your time. Not with my house. Got it?" "My house, your house. Why are there so many lines?" he snapped, anger rising. "Did you ever see me as family, Jessica?" "You're the one who didn't see me as family," I replied. "Real families don't scheme for property. Real families support each other. They don't just take. Brian, in 3 months, haven't I given your family enough?" "Given? What have you given?" "When your dad was hospitalized, I paid $200 for his bills. You promised to pay me back. Have you? When your sister needed $500 for Kevin's tutoring, I gave it to her. Has she paid that back? For your mom's birthday, I bought her a gold bracelet. What did you ever get my parents? You didn't even take them for a meal. Your mom said, 'We're all family.' Then had your sister bring Kevin over for a seafood dinner that cost me over $200. I listed everything, my heart turning to ice. Brian, I'm not a stingy person. If I had $10, I'd give you 9, but only if you deserved it. What am I to you, an ATM? A fool with a free house?" The line went silent. Then Brian's voice came back, colder than I'd ever heard. "Jessica, so you've made your choice. You're not helping my family." "It's not that I won't help." My voice was just as cold. "I just won't use my own assets to feed your family's greed." "Fine," Brian spat. "Since you're so heartless, don't blame me for what happens next. You have 2 choices. First, you let my parents and sister move in. We forget this happened and go back to normal. Second," he paused, his voice dropping lower, "we get a divorce. But if we do, you have to compensate me for my time and emotional investment over the last 3 months. And all that money you mentioned? Gifts. You're not getting it back." I actually laughed. "Are you an idiot, Brian? What about my time and energy? Who's compensating me? As for the money, I have the transfers and texts. We'll see who the judge sides with." "You'd really take this to court?" "You're forcing my hand," I said. "Brian, I'm giving you 1 day. If you don't get it by then, we're going to the courthouse." "Are you threatening me?" "No, I'm giving you a last chance." I hung up. A long text from him appeared instantly. I was heartless. He was so disappointed. I didn't read it. I just muted his chat and called Olivia. "Liv, I need your cousin's number, the divorce lawyer, and a locksmith. I'm changing the locks." "You finally woke up." Olivia's voice was triumphant. "I did," I said, looking at the sun. "Some people don't deserve a second chance." "Damn right. I'll get you the numbers. Be careful, Jess. That scumbag might get desperate." "Don't worry," I said. "I'm ready." After we hung up, I started packing Brian's things. He'd left barely a mark here in 3 months. A few clothes, some toiletries, a laptop. I packed it all in a suitcase and left it by the door. Then I sat on the couch to wait. My phone rang. My mom. "Jess, are you and Brian fighting?" Her voice was tight with worry. "His mother just called me. She said you kicked Brian out and want a divorce. What happened?" So the smear campaign had begun. "Mom, don't worry. Let me explain," I said, telling her everything. There was a long silence. Then I heard my mom's choked voice. "Sweetheart, you've been wronged." "Mom, I'm okay," I said, my own throat tightening. "I just feel like I let you and Dad down." "Don't be silly. You have nothing to be sorry for," my mom said, her voice turning firm. "Stay right there. Your father and I are getting in the car. No one bullies our daughter." "Mom, you don't have to. I can handle it." "You handling it is one thing. Us being there is another." My dad's voice cut in, simmering with rage. "I'd like to see just how shameless the Collins family can be." "Dad, Jess, don't argue. This isn't just your fight anymore. It's our fight." My dad's voice was solid as a rock. "Don't worry. With Mom and Dad here, no one will hurt you." When I hung up, the tears finally came. But they were tears of relief, not hurt. I was never alone. I always had them to fall back on. The doorbell rang. The locksmith. I wiped my tears and opened the door. He removed the old lock and installed the new one. The deadbolt slid into place with a satisfying click. From now on, this door would only open for people I chose. Brian and his greedy family were no longer on that list. Less than half an hour later, my parents arrived. They lived 2 hours away. They must have left the second we got off the phone. "Jess," my mom rushed in, hugging me and looking me over. "Did they do anything to you? Are you okay?" "I'm fine, Mom." My nose tingled, but I held back the tears. My dad stood in the doorway, his face like a thundercloud, his eyes landing on the suitcase. "Where is he?" My dad's voice was low and tight. "At his parents' house, probably," I said. "His things are packed." My mom looked at the suitcase, her eyes red. "Married only 3 months, and they've pushed her to this. Why didn't I stop you?" "What's the use of saying that now?" My dad cut in. He walked into the living room. "Jess, tell me everything. Don't leave out a single detail." I poured them water and told them everything from the past 3 months, especially the last 2 days. When I mentioned Brian assigning rooms, my dad's hands clenched. When I described Sharon and Linda at my door, my mom shook with rage. And when I told them about Brian's threat of divorce, my dad slammed his hand on the table. "That bastard." The glass table rattled. "Dan, your blood pressure," my mom urged, though her own hands trembled. "How can I not be worked up?" My dad stood, pacing. "My daughter, who I raised like a princess, gets treated like this after 3 months of marriage? They plot to take her house and her money, then they threaten her. Who in the hell do these Collins people think they are?" "Dad, calm down," I pleaded, trying to soothe him. "They aren't worth it." "Dan, just sit," my mom added softly. My dad took a few ragged breaths and sat, his eyes locked on mine. "Jess, what's your decision? Do you want to stay in this marriage?" My dad's voice was gentle. I took a breath and shook my head. "No, I see it all now. Brian didn't marry me. He married this townhouse. For 3 months, they've been testing me, like parasites, and now they're making their move. If I give in now, next they'll want my savings. Then they'll expect you to fund their lives." My mom's eyes welled up. "His mother kept asking about our finances when we first met. I had a bad feeling, but you seemed so happy." She squeezed my hand. "I'm glad you see him for who he is." "Better to rip the Band-Aid off now," my dad said, his jaw tight. "This divorce is happening. We just need a strategy." I nodded. "Liv's cousin is a divorce lawyer. I'm meeting him this afternoon." "Good," he said. "I'm coming with you." My dad stood firm. "Your mom's staying here in case they show up again." Just then, the doorbell chimed. We all froze. Mom started to rise. "I've got it," I said, gently pushing her back. I peered through the peephole. It was Brian, with his father, George, in tow. Brian held a pathetic-looking fruit basket. George scanned my porch like he was inspecting a new acquisition. "It's them," I mouthed. My dad's face turned to stone. "Let them in. I want to hear what lies they've cooked up this time." I pulled the door open. "Jess." "Oh, your parents are here," Brian stammered, his smile dying when he saw my dad. George tried a warm, fatherly nod. "Dan, good to see you. Had we known, we would have brought something nicer." My dad didn't move from the couch. "We're not guests." Brian froze, clutching the basket. George's fake smile never wavered. "Dan, don't be like that. We're family. No need for formalities." He dropped into an armchair like he owned it. "Let's just talk this through." Brian perched on the sofa's edge. "Mom, Dad, what's going on?" he asked, trying to sound innocent. "My daughter is being taken advantage of," my mom snapped. "That's what's going on." "Bullying? What?" Brian's placating smile made my skin crawl. "It's just a small mix-up. Jess and I settled it." "Settled it?" I scoffed. "Which part did we settle? The part where your family isn't moving in, or the part where you expect a payday when we divorce?" The color drained from Brian's face. George coughed. "Jessica, let's not be dramatic. We can discuss this calmly." "A happy family is a peaceful one." "Mr. Collins," I began, the formal title making him flinch, "do you really think your son bringing his mother here to assign bedrooms is discussable?" Shame and anger warred on his face. Okay, Brian was tactless. "He should have talked to you first, but he's just looking out for his family. Aren't you his wife? Shouldn't you help?" "There are many ways to help Mr. Collins. He has a condo. He could rent a place for you. He could hire a nurse." I looked him dead in the eye. "So why was his only idea to take my premarital property? Is he concerned for you, or is he just after my assets? That's a horrible accusation." George's composure finally shattered. "What do you mean, after your assets? He's your husband. What's yours is his." "Oh, really?" I smiled, a cold, sharp thing. "So that house you own is community property then? By that logic, my parents have a claim to it. After all, we're all one big family, right? No clear lines." George's face went purple. You're twisting things." "Dad, calm down," Brian jumped in. "Jess, please, he has a heart condition." "I know," I said evenly. "He needs a place with an elevator." "I'll ask again, why my house? Your condo has an elevator, Brian. It's closer to the hospital. Isn't that a better fit?" He had no answer. George slammed his hand on the chair. "So you are saying we're gold diggers?" I stood up. "From day one, you've been prying into my family's money. After the wedding, it was endless requests for cash and gifts. Now you're demanding my home. You tell me, Mr. Collins, what else would you call it?" "You insolent girl," he sputtered, pointing a shaking finger at me. "George," my father's voice cut through the room, low and dangerous. "Watch it." George turned on him. "Dan, listen to her, accusing us, shouting at her elders. The Collins family may not have your money, but we have dignity." "You know in your own hearts if you do," my dad said, getting to his feet. He towered over George. "I have one question. If my daughter didn't own this house, would you have let Brian marry her?" The silence in the room was deafening. Brian looked like a ghost. George's mouth opened and closed, but nothing came out. The truth was hanging in the air. "I see," my dad nodded. "Then there's nothing left to say. This marriage is done. Name your terms." "Divorce?" Brian shot up. "It doesn't have to be this way. Jess and I have feelings for each other." "A misunderstanding?" My mom finally stood, her voice shaking. "Brian, look at me. Can you honestly say you married my daughter only for love and not for her home?" "Of course I love her," he pleaded, turning to me. "Jess, the house was a mistake. I wasn't thinking. I'll listen to you from now on, I promise." It was too late. "This whole act is making me sick, Brian. Yesterday, when your mother was screaming at me, where were you? When your sister was measuring my rooms, what did you do? And now, with your father lying through his teeth?" I froze. "No, you didn't freeze. You agreed with them. I cut him off. You thought marrying me was like hitting the jackpot for your entire family. You don't love me. You love what I can do for you. That's not true. Don't bother, I said, walking to the door and pulling it open. Get out. My lawyer will contact yours. Don't come back here or I'll call the cops. Brian looked desperate, but George grabbed him. His face was a twisted mask of fury. He gave my dad one last hateful glare. Fine. You Millers look down on us, so be it. Brian, let's go. We're better off without her. Dad, Brian protested. Let's go. George yanked him toward the door, then turned to me. You'll regret this. A divorced woman. I'll be fine, I smiled. You should worry about your son. A divorced man who tried to scam his wife out of her property? I can't imagine any decent family wanting that. He looked like he was about to explode. Brian practically dragged him away. The door clicked shut. Silence. I sagged against it, the fight draining out of me. My mom wrapped her arms around me. Oh, honey, you've been through hell. No, Mom. I shook my head. Seeing the truth isn't hell. It's better than realizing this 3 years and a baby from now. My dad put a hand on my shoulder. At that lawyer's meeting, you fight for everything. The house is yours. He can't get it. But expect him to play dirty. He'll probably sue for alimony or some nonsense. I nodded. I know. Mom cooked, but the food tasted like ash in my mouth. My dad's voice cut through the fog. When you talk to the lawyer, leave nothing out. If he wants the money from the last 3 months back, we'll give it to him. But what he spent and what you spent are 2 different lists. Did he buy you anything big? A $200 necklace, a $300 purse. The rest was just dinners, movies. And you? Mom asked. A $230 watch for Brian, a $1,200 gold bracelet for his mom, $400 in supplements for his dad, the $500 tablet for his nephew, the $200 I covered for his dad's hospital stay, $500 for his sister's classes. My voice got quieter with every word. I'd never added it up. I'd spent almost $700 on them. He'd spent less than $100 on me. Dad's face went hard. You have the transfer records? Yes. The texts? The ones where he admits it's for the hospital and the tutoring? Yes. I always put notes on my payment apps. Good. Dad nodded. Show the lawyer everything. If he doesn't mention money, fine. If he does, we'll set the record straight. I went and changed into something that felt like armor. Mom grabbed my hand as I left. Jess, don't be scared. We're right here. I looked her in the eye. I'm not, I said, and it was the truest thing I'd ever said. Any hope I had for Brian, for us, had burned to the ground. Some people just aren't worth the ashes. At 2 p.m., Dad and I walked into the law office. Olivia's cousin, Mark Chen, looked sharp in his 40s, with gold-rimmed glasses and an air of no-nonsense competence. I laid out the whole ugly story, pulling up the transfers and texts on my phone. Mark listened, jotted things down, and asked a few sharp questions. When I was done, he shut his notebook. Miss Miller, this is fairly simple. The house was bought by you, in your name, before the wedding. It's yours. Mr. Collins can't touch it. He eyed my records. The money for his father's medical bills is probably a lost cause, legally a gift, but the funds for his sister could be considered a loan if the texts show you asked for it back. The other items are seen as gifts within the marriage and aren't recoverable. So most of it was gone. I knew it would be, but hearing a lawyer say it still twisted something inside me. It wasn't the money, it was the intention I'd wrapped around every dollar. Yes, Mark confirmed. On the flip side, he can't claim you owe him for day-to-day spending. The court won't back that up. The necklace and purse are normal gifts between a husband and wife. He can't get those back. What if he claims emotional distress for compensation? Dad asked. Mark actually smiled. He can try, but that only flies for things like abuse or abandonment. Your daughter is just filing for divorce. She's the one with no fault here. A claim like that would get thrown out. That was a relief. But, Mark's tone changed, I have to warn you, if Mr. Collins refuses to sign, the court might not grant the divorce on the first try. You could have to wait 6 months to file again. An uncontested divorce is much faster." "He'll agree," I said, my voice like ice. "Mr. Chen, I want this over with, as fast as possible. What's the next step?" "First, we try to negotiate a settlement. If he signs, you file together. If not, you sue. I'll start by sending a formal letter from my firm outlining your demands. We'll gauge his reaction." "Okay," I said, looking at Dad for a nod. "Send it." "For your safety," Mark added. "I'd suggest staying somewhere else for a bit." "Mr. Collins and his family don't seem violent, but it's best to be cautious. They might continue to harass you." "She's coming home with us," Dad said instantly. "No," I shook my head. "I'm staying. This is my home." "I did nothing wrong. Why should I be the one to run?" Dad started to argue, but Mark cut in. "I understand. In that case, keep your doors locked. If anything feels off, call 911. I'll send the letter to his work and his last known address today. After he gets it, he'll either negotiate, stall, or get nasty. Be ready for anything." "I am. Thank you, Mr. Chen." Dad was quiet on the way to the car. Once inside, he said, "Jess, you're sure you don't want to come home?" "I'm sure, Dad." I squeezed his hand. "This is my mess to clean up. And with you two behind me, I'm not scared." He squeezed back, his grip firm. "That's my girl. We're always your safety net." Driving home, my phone lit up. A wall of text from Brian. It was a pathetic scramble of, "I was wrong, my parents are crazy, please give me another chance." He promised he'd do whatever I wanted from now on. I read it and felt nothing. Then another text. "Jess, I know you read that. Can we please just talk? I don't want a divorce. I love you." I didn't reply. Love? If he loved me, would he have tried to steal my house? Would he have let his family scream at me? Would his first thought be about getting a payout? That wasn't love. It was a sickness. It was greed wearing a wedding ring. As we pulled up, I saw him standing by the entrance. Brian. He was holding a ridiculously huge bouquet of red roses. "Jess," my dad said, his voice tight with worry. "It's fine, Dad. You can go. I've got this." I got out of the car and walked toward him. The setting sun made his shadow stretch out long and distorted, just like our marriage. His eyes lit up when he saw me, and he rushed over, shoving the gaudy bouquet at me. "For you." "Do you like them?" 3 months ago, I might have melted. Now, it just looked cheap. "No," I said, pushing them back at him. "Brian, flowers aren't going to fix this." "I know," he said, dropping them on a bench. He reached for my hand, a desperate, clumsy move. I pulled back. "Jess, I was wrong. I swear, I know I was wrong. Please, just one more chance." "Wrong about what?" I asked. I shouldn't have just assumed my family could move in. I shouldn't have let my mom come here and fight with you," he recited, like he'd practiced in the car. "Is that it?" I looked straight at him. And I shouldn't have said those things," he stammered, his gaze shifting. "I was angry. I didn't mean it." "What didn't you mean?" I pushed. "When you demanded money from me? When you told me this was no big deal? Which part was the lie, Brian?" He flinched. The pleading mask slipped, showing a flash of panic, then irritation, before he pasted his devoted look back on. "Jess, can we just go upstairs and talk?" "This is my home," I cut him off. "But it's not yours. Not anymore." "Brian, I already changed the locks. Your suitcase is with the front desk." His face finally collapsed. "Jessica, why are you being so cold? After 3 months, do you feel anything at all?" "Feelings?" I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "You want to talk about feelings? When you were planning to take my house, were you thinking about my feelings? When your mother was screaming in my face? When you demanded a payoff? I was just angry." "Angry words are honest words," I said, my voice chillingly calm. "I gave you a chance, Brian, yesterday and this morning, and you chose to bring your father here to keep up the pressure. Now that bullying me didn't work, you're trying this. You think I'm a fool? You think I'll fall for this again? I could hear his voice escalating on the other end of the line, thick with fake sincerity. Jess, I was calculating at first. I admit it, Brian pleaded, but I fell in love with you. I made you breakfast. I picked you up in the rain. The words were just noise, a pathetic script from a con artist who'd just been caught. That time you had the flu, I never left your side, and you were so sweet to me then. But every kindness had a hidden invoice, didn't it? Breakfast in bed cost me your sister's tuition. A ride in the rain meant I was buying your dad's medication. And you staying with me meant your mother could move in. Brian, your kindness is just a series of transactions, and I'm tapped out. The blood drained from his face. He tried to speak, but my words were the absolute truth. Every warm gesture was a cold calculation. I was just too blinded by what I called love to see it for what it was. I see now it was all just the price of admission to your real game. A letter from my lawyer is on its way to your apartment and your job today. I kept my voice steady. Brian, let's make this a clean break. What I spent is gone. What you spent is yours. We'll be square. After this, we're strangers. A lawyer? His voice fractured. Jess, you got a lawyer? Did you have to go there? You pushed me here, I said, meeting his gaze. The eyes I used to get lost in were now just cold and angry. Signing those papers is the only way out for you, Brian. Drag this out, and you'll only humiliate yourself. You really want your co-workers finding out you were dumped after 3 months for trying to steal my house? It was a raw threat, and I didn't care. His voice went quiet, almost chilling. You're serious about this? Yes. Fine. He nodded, backing away slowly. Then he let out this weird, mangled laugh. You won't regret this. And just like that, he left, abandoning the roses on the bench. I watched him vanish around the corner before I finally exhaled a breath I hadn't realized I was holding, but a knot of dread tightened in my gut. What was that supposed to mean? Upstairs, Mom was pacing. What happened? What did he say? Nothing, just that I'd regret it, I said, aiming for nonchalant. He's just talking. We have to be cautious, my dad said, standing up. A cornered man like him is unpredictable. Jess, please, just come stay with us. I'm fine, Dad, really. I shook my head. This is my house. I'm not leaving. The security here is great. He can't get inside. The words sounded hollow even to me. That look in his eyes as he walked away was terrifying. It wasn't sane. It was the look of someone about to torch their own life. The next 2 days were silent. No calls from Brian, no visits from his family. I almost let myself believe he'd given up. Then the third morning happened. A violent banging on the door jolted me awake. It sounded like a body hitting the wood. Jessica, get out here, you scheming witch. How dare you trick us? Sharon's screech cut through the air, joined by other angry voices. I looked through the peephole and my heart stopped. It was Sharon, Linda, and 2 strangers, relatives probably. All 4 of them were crammed in the hallway, their faces twisted with fury. Open this door, Jessica. You can't hide, Linda screamed. We're not leaving until you explain yourself. Another one yelled, Let us in. I want to see the tramp who's hurting my nephew. I stumbled back, fumbling for my phone to dial 911, but it rang first. The building manager. Miss Miller, we've had a complaint. Security's coming up. Should we call the police for you? Yes, right now, I said instantly. We're on it. I hung up and yelled through the door. The cops have been called. They're on their way. Get out of here now if you know what's good for you. Silence for a beat. Then the screaming got worse. Go ahead, call them. Let the police decide. Let's see them deal with a wife who steals her husband's home. Yeah, a total con artist. Gold digger! Open up! I pressed my back against the door, my heart hammering. Stay calm, Jess. Whatever you do, don't open it. They were completely unhinged. Minutes later, the elevator chimed, and I heard a security guard's firm voice cutting through their yelling. What's going on here? You can't create a scene. We need to see Jessica, my daughter-in-law. She's a cheat. Ma'am, I don't care. You need to leave now or I'm calling the cops. We already did, I yelled through the door. They're on their way. That seemed to quiet them down. Fine, Jessica, have it your way, Sharon spat through the door. But this isn't over. You can't hide in there forever. Their footsteps retreated. I sagged against the door, my hands trembling not with fear, but pure, unadulterated rage. So this was your plan, Brian. You hide while your mother and aunts do your dirty work. My phone buzzed. It was him. I picked up, silent. Jessica, do you get what I was saying now? His voice oozed satisfaction. My mom and aunts, they're impulsive. I can't stop them. If you want them to stay away, we need to talk. Negotiate what? I finally asked. The divorce is fine, he said, but you need to pay me. I put 3 months of emotional labor into this marriage, fought with my family for you, $50,000 for my pain and suffering. Fair, right? I actually laughed. Are you out of your mind, Brian? You don't have to pay, he said, drawing out the words. But then I won't sign the divorce papers. We can just wait, see who breaks first. Oh, and Mom and my aunts will probably be back tomorrow, and the next day. The police can't do anything. They didn't break a thing. The cops will talk to them, they'll leave, and then they'll come right back. You have a job, right, Jessica? Your parents have lives to get back to? Utterly shameless. That's all he was. You're unbelievable, Brian, I seethed. No compliments needed. It's not shameless to ask for money from an ex-wife. Ex? We're still married. So you're still my wife, he chuckled. It's perfectly normal for a wife to help her husband out. $50,000, not 1 cent less. You have 24 hours to decide. By this time tomorrow, I expect an answer. He paused, his tone dropping. Or I can't be responsible for what my mother and aunts might do next. You know how older women get? So emotional. If one of them has a heart attack on your front step, imagine the gossip. Think about your parents' reputations. He hung up. I just stood there, phone in hand, a cold wave washing over me. It wasn't fear. It was pure disgust. The man I planned my future with was this vile. $50,000. The sheer audacity. My phone rang. Olivia. Jess, are you okay? The building manager just called me, said there was trouble at your door. She sounded panicked. I'm fine, Liv. Security handled it, I said, then told her everything, including Brian's call. That son of a... Olivia erupted. $50,000? Who does he think he is? Jess, don't you worry. My cousin will handle this. We're going to make him pay. Liv, the lawyer's letter? It went out yesterday. So he'll get it today. But a letter is obviously not enough. We have to go for the throat, Olivia mused. Okay, my cousin's filing a restraining order. This is extortion, right? $50,000 is a crime. He was smart, I said. He called it compensation. I said, so frustrated. I was too mad to even think of recording it. Next time, you record everything, Olivia insisted. What about the security camera by your door? I have one, but I doubt it got the audio. Video is enough. My cousin's already drafting the harassment suit. He thinks he can just walk all over us. After I hung up with Liv, I called my dad. He listened to the whole story without a word. Finally, he just said, Jessica, pack your things. You're coming home tonight. I'll deal with the house. Dad, I'm not running. It's not running, he said, his voice completely level. It's a strategic retreat. They're pulling this because you're an easy target alone in that house. If you're here, they have no leverage. I have a plan for the townhouse. What kind of plan? Don't worry, just pack and bring every important document you have. The deed, your ID, marriage license, all of it. Okay. I ended the call and started pulling my life out of the closets. Anger burned through me, but underneath it was a deep, hollowing sadness. My marriage. A 3-month journey from vows to extortion. It was a joke. A farce. Halfway through, the doorbell buzzed, sharp and sudden. I crept to the peephole. It was the building manager, flanked by a security guard. I let out a shaky breath and unlocked the door. The manager looked mortified. "Miss Miller, I am so sorry. A major security lapse. We're locking everything down. No one gets upstairs without clearance now. And we're installing another camera by your door. If they return, we'll call the police." "Thank you." My voice was a whisper. "Also," the manager hesitated, "the police were here. They said if they come back and cause trouble, call 911 immediately for disorderly conduct, and you can go to court for a protective order." A protective order. The words felt like poison. "I understand, thank you." When they were gone, I finished packing in a daze. An hour later, my dad's SUV pulled up. The trunk was cavernous. "Everything packed? Let's go." I took one last hollow look at my home and shut the door. We were on the freeway before he spoke. "Jess," he said quietly, "we're selling the townhouse." I turned and stared at him, speechless. "Selling it?" The word felt unreal. "Yes," he said, his voice calm and solid. "Right now, that house is your weakness. The Collins family is so brazen because they know you love that house. It's your home. If you let it go, what leverage do they have left?" I opened my mouth to argue, but no words came. "But Dad, that was from you and Mom." "A house is a thing. People matter," he cut in. "We bought it to give you security. Now it's a liability, not an asset. So what's the point? A good school district means nothing if you aren't safe." "No location is worth your peace of mind," Dad said, his eyes filled with a fierce love. "We can earn more money, buy another house. But you, your life, that's everything. The Collins family is arrogant because they think you won't dare let the house go. They think you won't scorch the earth," he continued. "Well, we're going to show them exactly how daring a Miller can be." Tears welled in my eyes. "Dad." His own voice shook for a moment. "Leave it to me. You just rest." "No, Dad. I'll handle it myself," I said, wiping my eyes. The tears felt hot, but my voice was cold steel. "It's my house, my marriage, my fight." He looked at me, his expression shifting from worry to pride. "I'm calling an agent tomorrow. I'm listing it. Not because I'm scared, because you're right. It's tainted. I don't want it anymore, and they're not getting a single cent." My dad watched me for a long moment, and then a slow, proud smile spread across his face. "Good. That's my daughter." As the car sped down the freeway, the sky burned with the colors of the sunset. I leaned my head back, a single thought crystallizing in my mind. "You wanted a war, Brian. You've got one." At home, dinner was on the table. "Jess, wash up and eat," Mom said, her eyes red but her smile determined. My heart ached for her. "Mom, don't say anything," she said gently. "Just eat." She was right. Big problems always seem smaller after a meal. At the table, no one mentioned the Collins family. Dad told bad jokes from his office. Mom told embarrassing stories from my childhood. I knew it was just the quiet eye of the hurricane. Afterward, I sat with Dad in the living room. "Dad, I'm serious about selling," I said into the silence. He nodded. "You'll have to price it aggressively to sell it fast in that neighborhood." "I don't care," I said. "Whatever it takes. I just want this to be over." "All right, I'll go with you to the agent tomorrow," he said, then paused. "Should we keep the sale quiet from them for now?" I shook my head. "Impossible. Brian knows how much I love that house. He'll be watching it like a hawk. The second it's listed, he'll know. Instead of letting them find out and make a scene, I'm going to take the initiative." My dad raised an eyebrow. I pulled out my phone, found the number I was looking for, and smiled a cold, grim smile. I'm going to let Brian know his entire plan was a miscalculation from the start. The next morning, we met with a top agent, a sharp young man named Mr. Wong. "Miss Miller, I've seen your file," he said, tapping the folder. "The location, the layout, the school district, it's premium. At the current market rate, you'll get $1.5 million. Easy. I want an all-cash offer and a fast closing. The price is negotiable," I told him flatly. "An all-cash offer will shrink the buyer pool." 1.3 million firm, I countered, but we close within 1 month. Mr. Wong's eyes lit up. That's a very competitive price. May I ask why the hurry? Personal reasons, I said, ending that line of questioning. Of course, Mr. Wong said smoothly. I'll list it immediately. About the keys. I have them, I cut in. All viewings are by appointment only. No problem at all. After leaving his office, Dad dropped me at the bank, where I met with my financial advisor, Sarah. Miss Miller, are you sure about moving all your savings into a CD right now? Sarah asked, her brow furrowed with concern. I'm sure. A 1-year term. No early withdrawals, I said, sliding my card across the desk. Also, my townhouse is being listed. When it sells, put those funds into a 1-year CD as well. Sarah looked at me, wanting to say more, but she just nodded. Okay, I'll process that for you. From the bank, I went to a car dealership, the red Audi A4, a graduation present. Brian had often hinted it was too flashy, that I should let him drive it and get something smaller. Back then, I'd thought he was being considerate. Now, the memory just felt pathetic. What's the trade-in on this? I asked a salesman. He looked it over. It's pristine, around $20,000. Are you sure you want to sell? This model holds its value. I'm sure. Can we do the paperwork today? We can, but are you absolutely positive? Let's do it. 2 hours later, I walked out holding a check for $20,000. The car was gone. I felt lighter. Brian thought my things should be his. Fine. He wanted money? It was locked away. He wanted a car? Sold. He wanted a house? For sale. Let's see what was left for him to demand. Back at my parents' house, I handed the check to my mom. Mom, can you hold this? Her eyes, already red-rimmed, filled with fresh worry. Jess, what's going on? Decluttering. I tried to smile. I get it now, Mom. It's just stuff. The Collins family isn't getting a penny. My dad came out of his study and gave me a long, approving look. You did the right thing. But are you sure he'll believe you're broke? He'll check, I said calmly. Let him. The more he looks, the better. Right on cue, my phone rang. It was Brian. I answered and hit the record button. Hello, Jessica. You've got some nerve. His voice was deceptively calm, but the rage underneath was palpable. Selling the house, selling the car, you're really playing hardball. Word travels fast, I said. My house, my car. I can sell them if I want. What does it have to do with you? That's when he finally snapped. Don't give me that crap. Do you think hiding the money means I can't touch you? Transferring marital assets is illegal. Marital assets? I laughed. Brian, need I remind you, the house was my property, paid in full before our wedding. The car was my property, paid in full. My savings are from before we were married. It's all my separate property. I can do what I want with it. I let a beat of silence hang in the air. On the other hand, your condo. You still have a mortgage on that, don't you? And for 3 months, the payments have come from your salary, correct? And since your paycheck is community property, doesn't that mean I get a piece of your condo's appreciation? The line went dead. Brian had clearly never thought of that. He was so busy trying to figure out what he could take from me. You're bluffing, he finally stammered, his voice thin. It's only been 3 months of mortgage payments. How much could that be? It's not about the amount, it's the principle, I said. If we're getting technical, let's do it. In 3 months, I've dropped almost $700 on you and your family. I have the receipts. You want out? Fine. Pay me back first. Then we'll see about your condo's value. It might not be a lot, but every dollar counts, right? Don't you dare, he warned. Oh, I'm daring, my voice rising. Who demanded $50,000? Who sent his mom and sister to my house to harass me? Who's holding this divorce hostage? Brian, who's really pushing it. All I heard was his ragged breathing. I'm going to say this once, Brian, I said, hitting every syllable. We are divorcing. But you are not getting 1 cent from me. You're delusional if you think so. The house is gone. The car's sold. My money is tied up. The Jessica you knew is broke. Agree to a clean split and we walk away. If not, I'll see you in court. But remember, lawsuits are expensive and draining. You really think you can afford that fight?" He hung up. I stared at my phone and a small smile crept onto my face. He couldn't take the heat, and this was just the beginning. 30 minutes later, as expected, he called back. His voice was different this time, softer. "Jess, does it have to be like this? You're the one who started it." "I know, I messed up." "I shouldn't have done that to you," he choked out. "Jess, I'm so sorry. Can you just give me another chance? I'll do anything you say. I'll even stop talking to my parents if that's what you want." "Brian," I cut in, "save it for the next girl you try to scam. I'm not falling for it." "Why not? I mean it." "Mean it?" I laughed out loud. "Your sincerity is tied to a house and a car. Now that they're gone, what's left? If I told you I'd just inherited millions, you'd be begging, wouldn't you?" "How can you say that?" "Because it's who you are," I said. "Drop the act. You should have the papers from my lawyer by now. An uncontested divorce 3 days from now at the courthouse. Be there, or I'm suing you. Your call." I hung up before he could respond. I saved the recording and shot it over to Olivia and Mark Chen. A second later, Olivia was calling me. "Oh my God, Jess, you're a legend," she screamed. "That is how you handle a lowlife. $50,000. The nerve of that guy." "Liv, I need you to do something for me," I said. "Anything. You know I'd do anything for you." "I need you to start a rumor," I said, spacing out my words. "Tell people I made a bad investment and lost everything. I'm drowning in debt, had to sell the house, the car. I'm completely broke, and I've even dragged my parents down with me." Olivia was silent. "What? Why?" "Brian only sees me as a bank account, right?" I explained. "So I'm going to show him the account is empty. Not just empty, but deep in the red. He wanted $50,000? Now I owe $500,000. Let's see how much he wants me now." I could hear her processing it. Then she just exploded with laughter. "That's genius. Jess, you're savage. Hitting him right where it hurts. Okay, leave it to me. I'll make sure that in 3 days everyone thinks you're bankrupt." "Not everyone," I corrected. "Just the right people who'll get the word back to him." "Got it." "But Jess, isn't that a little much? What if he believes it and starts trashing your name?" "Let him," I said, not caring at all. "A guy who dumps his wife the second she goes broke and still tries to squeeze money out of her? Who do you think they're going to side with?" "You're brilliant," Olivia said, full of awe. "This is your comeback, girl. Just watch. I'm on it." After we hung up, I walked to the window. The sun felt warm. 3 days. In 3 days, it's over. My phone vibrated. It was a text from the agent, Mr. Wang. "Miss Miller, great news. The listing is up and we have multiple offers already. One is for $1.35 million, all cash, and they want a fast closing. What are your thoughts?" "I want to meet the buyer. No problem at all." "When works for you?" "Tomorrow afternoon." "Perfect, I'll set it up." I put my phone down, exhaling slowly. The house was moving way faster than I'd thought. Now it was all on Brian. I was almost excited to see his next move. Olivia was, as always, a pro. In 2 days, the story of my financial ruin was the talk of the town among anyone who mattered. The first to bite was Linda. She called on the 3rd morning, her voice practically singing with smug satisfaction. "Jessica, I heard about your house and car and all that debt. Tisk, tisk. I always said a woman shouldn't be so flashy. You get a little cash and lose your mind. Look at you now." "Wow, Linda. News travels fast," I said, my voice deadpan. "Are you calling to gloat or offer condolences?" "I'm just concerned," she lied. "We were family after all." "But honestly, Jessica, an investment that big? Why wouldn't you talk to Brian about it first? Now you're in this mess." "Talk to Brian?" I laughed. "And what? Would he have stopped the investment from tanking, or would he have helped me pay off the debt?" Linda was quiet for a second, then her voice went cold. "Fine. I'll get straight to it. Brian told me to say, because of your situation, he'll forget the $5,000 compensation. But he put so much into this marriage. He can't get nothing. So you give him $10,000 from whatever you have left for his trouble. Give him that, and he'll sign the papers with you right away. $10,000. Down from $50,000. So they bought it completely. $10,000? I echoed. That's what Brian wants? Yes. $10,000, not a penny less, Linda said firmly. Jessica, don't be a fool. You're broke and your name is mud. Brian is being kind. $10,000 for your freedom is a steal. And if I say no, if you say no, she sneered, then you can just wait. Brian said he won't sign. We'll just drag this out and see who breaks first. You've got no house, no car. You're back with your parents, right? They're old. You think they can handle this? Threats. Always with the threats. Except now, they just sounded so pathetic. Linda, have Brian call me and say that himself, I said. Brian doesn't want to see you. He's disgusted by you. Is he? I smiled. Well, you can give him a message for me. I don't have $10,000. I don't have 10 cents. The divorce papers are signed on my end. I'll be at the courthouse at 2 p.m. If he's there, we can go our separate ways. If not, I'm filing the lawsuit, and remind him that in a contested divorce, they look at everyone's finances. I might be broke, but his mortgaged condo is definitely a community asset. By the time a judge is done with him, he might be the one paying me. You're lying. His condo is from before the wedding, she shot back. He bought it before, but we used our money to pay the mortgage after we married, I said slowly. It's only 3 months, but it all adds up. Oh, and the nearly $700 I spent on your family? I'll want that back too. When the court is through, he might be writing me a check. I could hear Linda's panicked breathing on the line. She was totally rattled. You just wait, she stammered, then hung up. I set down my phone, a wave of victory washing over me. They really thought I was ruined. Good. That meant they would never bother me about money again. At 1:30 p.m., I got to the courthouse. My dad drove and waited in the car. Jess, if he gives you any trouble, you yell. I'll be right there, he said, his voice tight with worry. It's a courthouse, Dad. He won't try anything, I said, patting his arm. I've got this. 2 p.m. passed, no Brian, 2:10. Still nothing. At 2:30, my phone buzzed. It was him. Jessica, I'm at the gate of your parents' neighborhood, he said, sounding rushed. Come here. We need to talk. The courthouse. 2 p.m. I was pretty clear, I said. I know, but... It's just easier to talk here, Brian stammered. Come on. We can talk about the divorce. The $10,000. I don't need it. We can just sign and be done. Okay? He was giving up the money. That wasn't Brian. Where are you? I asked again. I'm at your parents' place, I swear. Just get here, Brian. If you want to talk, you come to the courthouse. Otherwise, I'm gone. I was about to end the call. Wait, Brian yelled, his voice cracking. I'm at the police station. I froze solid. The police? His voice broke into a sob. Jessica, you have to get here. They're going to arrest my mom and my sister. What happened? It's your fault, he spat, all blame and fury. They went to your parents' neighborhood looking for you. The security guard stopped them and they argued. Then they pushed him. He fell, called the cops, and now he's saying they assaulted him. They're about to be detained. Jessica, come tell them it was just a misunderstanding, he begged. A family thing. A bitter laugh almost escaped my lips. They harassed my family, assaulted someone, and I was supposed to fix it? Brian, that's your mother and sister. This has nothing to do with me, I said, my voice ice. How can you say that? They were there because of you, he shouted. Don't take this too far. If my mom gets arrested, will you be responsible? I'll be responsible. I actually laughed. Brian, they trespassed to cause trouble and assaulted a guard. They broke the law. Why am I responsible? Should I say my in-laws get a free pass to attack people? Do you really think the police care about that? Just call it a family dispute. Ask them to mediate. Mediation takes two sides, I said slowly, precisely. And I don't agree. This isn't the first time, Brian. I already called the cops on them at my own house. This time they got violent at my parents' place. You think I'm letting this go? I could hear his ragged breathing. Through clenched teeth, he hissed, "Are you really going to be this heartless? You all made me this way." I hung up the phone and immediately dialed Mark Chen. Mark! Brian's mother and sister went to my parents' community, started a scene, and assaulted a security guard. They're at the station. I want to press charges. Can I do that? Mark didn't hesitate. Absolutely. It could be assault, battery, or disorderly conduct. If the guard's injuries are bad enough, they could see jail time. Miss Miller, you and your parents should go there now. Cooperate and make it clear you won't settle. Okay, I'm on my way. I hung up and quickly told my dad what happened. His face turned to stone. Let's go. When we got to the station, Brian was frantically pacing. His face lit up when he saw me. Jess, you're here. Go, tell the police. Tell them what? I cut him off. That it's a misunderstanding, he pleaded, grabbing my arm. Just explain that we're family. Just a little argument. I wrenched my arm away. This isn't the first time. They assaulted someone, Brian. Is that a little argument to you? The guard's fine. He just fell, Brian said, desperate. Jess, I'm begging you. My mom's too old for this. Did she think about her age when she was causing trouble? My dad said coldly. Brian finally saw my dad, and his expression shifted. Mr. Miller, you're here. Don't call me that, my dad said, not even glancing at him as he walked past me into the room. I followed him in. Inside, Sharon and Linda were with two officers. A young guard sat opposite them, cradling his arm, his face pale. Officer, I'm Jessica Miller, I said to one of them. I'm related to the victim of the harassment by Sharon and Linda Collins. The officer looked up. Your relation? Sharon Collins is my former mother-in-law. Linda is my former sister-in-law. We're divorcing. Their actions are their own. I'm asking you to handle this by the book. I will not mediate and I will not forgive them. Jessica, you viper! Sharon leaped up, but an officer shoved her back into the chair. Officer, you see her attitude? Linda pointed at me, sobbing. What did we do to deserve this venomous woman? She took my brother's money and now she wants to jail my mom. Is there no justice? The officer's brow furrowed. Quiet. This is a police station. He turned back to me. Miss Miller, are you certain you won't mediate? I'm certain, I nodded. And I'm pressing charges. This is the second time they've harassed me. I have a police report from last week. Now it's escalated to violence. If they aren't held accountable, it will never stop. We didn't hit him. He fell, Sharon lied. The community has cameras. The guard finally spoke up. Officer, you can check the footage. They pushed me and insulted me, called me a busybody. My arm still hurts. I want a hospital to check it out. The officer nodded, then looked at Sharon and Linda. The other party is pressing charges. If the medical report shows an injury, you're facing detention. If it's serious, it becomes a criminal case. Sharon's face drained of all color. Linda panicked. Officer, we were wrong. We're so sorry. It was an impulse. Jessica, she begged, turning to me, please forgive us. We'll never bother you again, I swear. You're sorry now? I looked at them. I warned you last time. I said if you came back, I'd call the police. Did you listen? No. You went to my parents' home and attacked someone. Linda, you have a child. If someone did this to you, would you forgive them? Linda's mouth opened, but no words came out. Sharon just started wailing. Why is my life so awful? My son married a curse who wants to send me to jail. I don't want to live. She lunged toward the wall, but the officers caught her. Causing a scene won't help, an officer said sternly. Since the other party refuses to mediate, we'll follow procedure. We're waiting on the medical report. Minor injuries mean 5 to 10 days in detention. If not, a warning and a fine. Detention? Sharon collapsed into her chair, stunned. Brian rushed in just then. He dropped to his knees in front of me with a thud. Jess, I'm begging you, forgive my mom and sister. They're old, they don't know better. I'll apologize to you. I'll apologize to your parents. I'll kowtow to you, he said, and started banging his head on the floor. My dad frowned and looked away. I stepped back. Brian, are you on your knees for them, or because you're actually sorry? I'm sorry. I really am, he said, a red mark blooming on his forehead. Jess, I'll do anything if you forgive them. Divorce? I'll sign. Money? Not a cent. The house, the car, I want nothing. Just let them go. Really? I asked. Really? I swear. Good. I pulled out the divorce agreement. Sign this, then I'll consider writing a letter of forgiveness. He didn't even read it. He grabbed the pen, signed his name, and then stared at me, pleading. I took the paper and faced the officer. Officer, since they've admitted their mistake, I'll write a letter of forgiveness, but I have 2 conditions. Go on, he said. First, they sign a guarantee never to harass me or my family again. If they break it, I'll pursue all legal options. Okay. Second, they pay the guard's medical bills, his lost wages, and compensation for his trouble. Of course, of course. Sharon and Linda agreed instantly. We'll pay. All right, I told the officer. I'll mediate, but I want a stern warning and this incident on record. Next time, I file a lawsuit directly. No problem. The mediation ended. They signed the guarantee, paid the guard $200, and left after a lecture from the police. Brian started to leave, but I stopped him. What now? He asked, avoiding my eyes. You signed the agreement, but we still have to file, I said. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. courthouse. Bring your ID, social security card, marriage certificate. If you don't show, I'll use this signed agreement to sue. I'll be there, Brian muttered. Good, that's it. I turned away. Jessica, he called out. I stopped, but didn't turn. Are you really in that much debt? His voice trembled. I turned back to face him. The man I thought I loved stood before me, looking broken and lost. Yes, I said, my voice cold. A huge amount, more than I could ever pay back. Brian was stunned into silence. Finally, he whispered, What will you do? What will I do? I let a small, sharp smile touch my lips. That's my problem, and you are no longer part of my life. After tomorrow, we're strangers. Whether I'm thriving or drowning in debt has nothing to do with you. And frankly, I don't care what happens to you either. We go our separate ways. With that, I took my father's arm and walked out of the police station, our shadows stretching long behind us in the dying light. Jess, Dad said quietly as we walked, that whole debt thing? You were bluffing, weren't you? A real smile broke through. Dad, the only way to stop a grifter is to convince them the well has run dry. He looked at me for a long beat, then a proud smile spread across his face. That's my girl. The next morning at 9 a.m. sharp, Brian was already at the courthouse. He looked wrecked, with dark circles under his eyes and a rough layer of stubble. We said nothing. We just stood in line, filled out the papers, signed our names, and got the stamp. It was all over in less than 30 minutes. As we left the building, he finally spoke. Jessica, I'm sorry. I froze but didn't turn around. What for? I asked. For everything, he stammered. I know it's too late, but I really did love you. Love. The word was like poison. I finally turned to face him. Brian, that wasn't love. Love is about respect, about giving, about protecting someone. What you did was about taking, scheming, and breaking me. So don't you dare say you loved me. You're tainting the word itself. His face went pale. Take care of yourself, I said, and walked away without another glance. The sun felt too bright, and as I shielded my eyes, an incredible lightness washed over me. It was done. That sham of a marriage was finally, truly over. My phone buzzed. It was Olivia. Babe, tell me it's done. Are you a free woman? I am, I breathed out. Oh, thank God. Congratulations. Welcome back to your life. We are celebrating tonight. Usual place. My treat. Deal. After hanging up, I inhaled deeply. The air tasted like freedom. I saw my dad's car parked nearby, his hand waving from the rolled-down window. I hurried over and slid into the passenger seat. "Dad, I'm starving." "What do you want? It's on me." "Anything," I said. "Then we're going home. Your mom cooked enough to feed an army just for you." The car pulled away, heading home. I leaned my head back and closed my eyes. 3 months. A 3-month nightmare was finally over. The sun was rising. That first weekend of freedom, I slept for nearly 2 solid days. No alarms, no fighting, no lies. Just the sound of my mom cracking my door open to check on me, then softly closing it. When I finally woke up, a sliver of warm sunlight cut through the curtains. I stretched, feeling like a massive weight had been lifted from my soul, shed right along with my marriage. Monday morning, I woke up early, took my time with my makeup, and pulled on a sharp power suit I hadn't touched in 3 months. "Jess, you're going into the office?" Mom asked, peering out from the kitchen. "My leave is over," I said, swiping on a bold red lipstick that made my skin look porcelain perfect. My dad glanced up from his paper. "Want me to give you a ride?" "No, I've got it," I said, grabbing the keys to the used Toyota I'd bought after selling the Audi. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. "Drive safe," Mom called out, then hesitated. "About Brian—" "Mom, it's over," I said firmly, grabbing a glass of milk. "He's not a part of my life anymore." Right. Not a part of your life," she nodded quickly. "My daughter is amazing. You'll find someone so much better." "Mom, that's the last thing on my mind right now," I said, downing the milk and grabbing my purse. "I'm heading to work. Be careful." Driving toward the city, I put on some light morning music. At a red light, the familiar route gave me a weird sense of déjà vu. 3 months ago, I was driving this way, worrying about what to cook for Brian. Now, I was in a different car, completely alone, heading to the same place. But my entire world had changed. At the office, my colleague Amy spotted me immediately. "Jess, you're back," she said, rushing over. She lowered her voice. "Are you okay?" It was clear the gossip about my divorce had made the rounds. "I'm great," I said, my smile feeling easy and real. Amy breathed a sigh of relief. "That's good to hear. Let me tell you, things got messy with the Henderson project while you were out. He's been asking for you every single day. Swore he was going to come drag you back here himself. You know how he is. Come on, he'll be so happy to see you." I walked into the main office and all heads turned my way. I saw it all in their eyes, curiosity, pity, and even a little smug satisfaction from a few. I just smiled, nodded at everyone, and headed for my desk. "Jess, you're finally back!" Mr. Henderson's booming voice made me turn. I smiled at his friendly, round face. "Morning, Mr. Henderson." "Morning. I've been waiting all week for you," he said, clapping my shoulder. "Everything at home taken care of?" "All settled." "Good. Get in my office. The project's hit a wall and we need your brain on it." I spent the entire morning lost in spreadsheets, the divorce completely vanishing from my mind. Work, it turned out, was the perfect antidote to misery. In the cafeteria at lunch, Amy sat across from me. "Jess, for real, are you okay?" she asked again, her voice low. "I'm really okay," I said, stabbing a piece of chicken. "Do I not look okay?" "No," she said, shaking her head. She paused. "It's just, some rumors are flying around. Don't listen to them." "What rumors?" "That your in-laws threw you out. You lost the house and car, and you're broke," she whispered. I had to smile. The gossip mill travels at light speed, doesn't it? "Amy, do I look broke to you?" I asked. "No, but you know how people are." I set down my fork. "It's fine, let them talk. It's my life, not theirs. What they say can't touch me." "Wow, Jess, you're so cool," Amy said, her eyes wide with admiration. "Cool. No, just someone who finally gets it. I can't control what people say, but I'm damn sure in control of my own life." That afternoon, a text buzzed on my phone. It was Mark Chen, my lawyer. "Miss Miller, the draft purchase agreement is in your email. Please review. The buyer, Mr. Zhang, would like to sign this week. Please let me know your availability," his text continued. Tomorrow afternoon is good for me, I typed back. Great, I'll set it up. P.S. Have you had any more issues with Mr. Collins? No, I haven't. Thanks for asking, Mark. Good. Call me if you need anything. Just as I put my phone down, it rang. An unfamiliar number. I hesitated before answering. Hello, is this Jessica Miller? A middle-aged man's voice asked. It sounded vaguely familiar. This is she. Who is this? It's Frank Zhang, your Aunt Susan's friend, remember me? Oh, I remembered. The friend my aunt insisted would find me a new husband. Oh, Mr. Zhang. Hello, I said, keeping my voice neutral. Jessica, I heard what happened. Don't you worry. Out with the old, in with the new. Frank's voice boomed. I've got a great guy for you. 36, manager at a big company, divorced, no kids, house, car. He's perfect. When are you free? Mr. Zhang, I'm not really looking to date right now, I said as politely as I could. Nonsense. A divorced woman has to get back out there fast before you get older and your options dry up. Frank insisted. This guy's a catch. You'll thank me later. How about tomorrow night? I'll book it. Mr. Zhang, I really can't. It's settled. Tomorrow, 6 p.m. at the Shangri-La. He'll add you on WeChat. And then he just hung up. So this was my new reality. In the eyes of some people, I was now a clearance item that needed to be moved, fast. I sighed and tossed my phone onto my desk. Driving home, I saw the friend request from the manager. His profile picture was a boring landscape. His social media was private. I ignored the request. At a red light, I idly scrolled through my feed and saw a post from Brian. It was just a photo. No words. Him, at a fancy restaurant, with an empty place setting across the table. A bottle of wine, a steak, and a bouquet of flowers sat there. The caption was simple. Dinner for one can still have class. I rolled my eyes. Was this a pity party or some kind of signal? The comments were already pouring in. Brian, what happened? Where's your wife? Dude, did you guys split? Call me if you need someone to talk to. Brian's reply to everyone was the same vague line. It's nothing, just needed a quiet night. I scrolled right past it. Whether he was playing the victim or trying to get a reaction, it was no longer my problem. When I walked in the door at home, dinner was on the table. Jess, did you hear from Frank today? Mom asked as she ladled soup. I did. He's trying to set me up, I said, taking a seat. Mom, could you please tell your friends I'm not interested right now? I know, sweetie, I know. You just got out of a terrible thing. Of course you need time, she said, setting a bowl of soup in front of me with a soft smile. I did tell Frank, but you know how he gets. I sighed, stirring my soup. He just has to get involved. It's whatever. I'll just tune him out. Oh, speaking of Mom, the house closing is set for tomorrow. It's an all-cash offer, so the title should transfer in a week. That's fast, she murmured, surprised. So where will you go after the house is sold? Can I crash here for a bit? I asked. My mom's eyes went wide. What are you even asking? This is your home. Stay as long as you need. My father added, and when you're ready to look again, we'll help you find a place that's even better. Thanks, Mom. Don't be silly. You don't have to be so formal with me. Just then, Dad walked in with a small cake box. Dad, whose birthday is it? Nobody's, he said, placing it on the table. I just thought we had something to celebrate. Your new life. My throat tightened and my eyes began to burn. Dad, okay, let's get some candles. Make a wish, my mom urged, pulling out the candles. But it isn't my birthday, I said, a teary laugh escaping me. Just wish for a smooth and happy future, she insisted, lighting them. Go on. I stared into the small flames, then closed my eyes. What to wish for? I wished to meet only good people from now on. I wished for a clear path forward, for the nerve to cut ties with what's wrong and the courage to embrace what's right. I wished to always remember that I am me first, before I am anyone's daughter, wife, or mother. I opened my eyes and blew. What did you wish for? My mom asked. If I say it, it won't come true, I smiled. Right, you can't tell. The cake was delicious. the cream melting on my tongue, a sweetness that finally reached my heart. Later that night, scrolling on my phone, another friend request from the manager popped up. The message read, "Miss Miller, Frank told me to add you. Let's confirm our meeting tomorrow." I ignored it. Then an update from Olivia appeared. It was a 9-photo grid of incredible food. The caption, "Celebrating my sister's fresh start. From here on out, only the best for you." The comments were already rolling in. "Liv, who got divorced?" "Wait, not Jessica Miller? Seriously? Jess split up, but her husband was gorgeous." Gorgeous? I heard he was a mama's boy with a family of freeloaders. "No way, spill the tea." Olivia's standard reply was perfect. "It's personal. We're just thrilled she's free." I smiled and liked the post. Right as I was drifting off, my phone buzzed. It was Brian. A massive wall of text. "Jess, I know I've lost the right to call you that, and you probably won't believe a word I say, but I have to get this out. I've been replaying everything. How we first met, seeing you in your dress, the way you smiled when you said, 'I do.' I swear I loved you. I just got blinded by greed. My parents, my sister, they laid it on so thick. I was so focused on being a good son and brother, I forgot how to be a good husband. I'm so sorry. Truly, deeply sorry. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I just want you to be happy. If you ever need anything, call me. I'll do whatever it takes. And please take care of yourself." I read it, paused for a beat, then typed back 3 words. "Message received." Then I deleted his contact and blocked the number for good. The past was in the past. No anger, no longing, no second glances. That was my new rule, effective immediately. The next afternoon, Dad and I walked into Mark Chen's office right on time. The buyer, a Mr. Zhang, was already waiting. He was maybe in his early 40s, sharply dressed, with the air of a successful businessman. "Miss Miller, hello. I'm Jianhua Zhang," he said with a warm smile, offering his hand. "Mr. Zhang, a pleasure to meet you," I replied, shaking it. Mark laid out the documents. "Miss Miller, Mr. Zhang, here is the agreement reflecting our talks. The price is $1.35 million. All cash to be wired within 3 business days. The title transfers within a week. Please review it and let me know if there are any issues." I took my copy and read every line. Dad put on his glasses and did the same. "Miss Miller is very thorough," Mr. Zhang noted with a slight smile. "A house is a major purchase. It pays to be careful," I said without looking up. The contract was solid, with every term and responsibility clearly outlined. I glanced at my dad. He gave a small nod. "I have no problems with this," I said. "Nor do I," Mr. Zhang agreed. "Excellent. Please sign here," Mark said, offering a pen. I took it, and just as the tip touched the paper, the conference room door flew open. "Wait!" Brian stood there, panting, his face red. The entire room just stared at him. "Brian," I said, my brow furrowing, "what are you doing here?" "You can't sell this house," he gasped, rushing forward and slamming a hand down on the contract. "This was our marital property. I do not consent to this sale." Mark shot to his feet. "Mr. Collins, control yourself. You and Miss Miller are legally divorced. This house is her sole property, and she has the absolute right to sell it." "So what if we're divorced? I lived here. I have memories here." Brian kept his palm pressed firmly on the papers. "Jessica, must you be this cold? If you sell the house, we'll have nothing left." "We already had nothing left," I said, my voice perfectly level. "Brian, let go." He turned to Mr. Zhang. "Sir, this house is problematic. You can't buy it." Mr. Zhang just raised an eyebrow. "What sort of problem?" "The feng shui is terrible," Brian stammered. "Anyone who lives here gets a divorce." I almost choked back a laugh. Mr. Zhang actually chuckled. "Mr. Collins, I'm a man of science, so I don't subscribe to that belief. Besides, my wife and I are quite happy. But thank you for the warning." I stood and peeled Brian's hand off the contract. "Brian, this is a law firm. Leave now or I'll have security escort you out." Jessica, how can you be so heartless? Brian's eyes were getting red. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you, but can't you just leave me this one thing? This house is where we began, and it's where we ended. I finished for him, my voice sharp. Brian, don't force me to lose every last bit of respect I have for you. Let's end this with some dignity. Brian's hand was shaking. He stared at me, his gaze a mess of pleading and resentment. Finally, his fingers uncurled. You are going to regret this, he whispered before turning and stumbling out of the room. A thick silence fell. I am so sorry, Mr. Jang. I apologize that you had to see that, I said, taking a breath and sitting down. Not at all, I understand, Mr. Jang said. He waved a hand dismissively. Shall we proceed? Yes. I put the pen to the paper and signed my name, the nib scratching faintly. For a split second, a wave of sadness hit me. Not for the house, not for him, but for the girl I used to be, the one who loved him so completely. But the feeling passed as quickly as it came. I signed, added my thumbprint, and the deal was done. Miss Miller, I will have the funds wired to you by tomorrow, Mr. Jang said, collecting his copy. It was a pleasure. You as well. Outside the law office, my dad put a hand on my shoulder. You holding up? I'm fine, I said, shaking my head. I feel a little sorry for him. Not for us, I said, looking at the clouds. Such a beautiful start, such a pathetic ending. That's how life goes, Dad said softly. You take a few wrong turns to find the right road. Come on, your mom is making your favorite sweet and sour pork. That evening, a notification from my bank confirmed it. $1.35 million was in my account. I stared at the long line of zeros, feeling nothing but a quiet calm. Money was a good thing. It fixed a lot of issues. But it couldn't buy back trust, or time, or the naive girl who once loved without a single reservation. I transferred most of it into a CD, leaving a little in my checking. Then I shot a text to Olivia. House funds are in. Dinner's on me this weekend. You pick the spot. Your girl's a rich bitch now. Her reply was instant. OMG rich lady. I'm picking the most expensive place. Whatever you want. By the way, got some tea. You'll never guess what Brian's up to. Don't know, don't care, I typed back. He's already on the dating apps, going on a spree. A friend of my friend's sister went on 3 dates last weekend, and he was one of them. I had to pause. Divorced for barely a week, and he's already back out there. So much for his performance at the law office. And? I asked. And nothing came of them, Olivia wrote, clearly enjoying herself. Apparently his standards are now sky high. She needs a house, a car, a huge savings account, no brothers, parents with pensions, and she can't be from the countryside. Who does he think he is? A prince? I actually laughed out loud. Some people never learn. Oh, but this is the best part, Olivia continued. He's telling women his ex-wife went bankrupt from a bad investment, and he divorced her to save his family from being dragged down with her. He's trying to sell himself as some noble, tragic hero. Let him say whatever he wants, I typed, completely unfazed. A lie is still a lie, even if you tell it 1,000 times. You're not even angry? A little, admitted. Not that he's slandering me, but that he's still lying. Still can't face himself. It's just pathetic. Babe, you've officially leveled up. By the way, Olivia texted, for dinner Saturday, can I bring a +1? Ooh, new boyfriend? No, my cousin, Mark Chen. He said he wants to treat you to a meal to celebrate your new freedom. I should be treating him. He helped so much. Then it's a date. Saturday night. Don't you dare be late. On Saturday evening, I headed to the Japanese restaurant Olivia had picked out. The restaurant was the kind of place you whisper in, all low lights and heavy silverware. Olivia and Mark were already settled in a booth when I got there. Jess, over here. Olivia's wave was a bright spark in the dim room. I slid in across from them. Mark, it's so good to see you. You too, Jessica. You look great, he said, and his smile was genuine. All thanks to you, I replied, pushing the menu toward him. Seriously, order anything, my treat. In that case, I won't be shy, Mark said, flagging down the waiter for their best dishes. As we waited, Olivia leaned in, her eyes wide. You are not going to believe what I heard. Brian's mother is telling literally everyone you extorted $5,000 from them and left the family destitute. 50,000? I arched an eyebrow, a dry laugh catching in my throat. I wish. Do they even have that kind of money? Exactly. No one's buying it, Olivia huffed. Oh, and get this, Brian's sister is getting a divorce. Apparently, her husband is done funding their entire parasitic family. Seriously, is that new? Totally. My coworker is friends with the husband. They're already living apart, she whispered. He also said he's going for full custody in the house, since he bought it long before Linda was in the picture. She never paid a dime. I felt a cold sense of symmetry. It was my story, just with Linda on the losing end. Well, Mark said, taking a slow sip of tea, what goes around comes around. The law doesn't really care about karma, he continued. A premarital asset is a premarital asset. You can't just take what isn't yours. When the food came, the conversation lightened. Mark was easy to talk to, funny and sharp. Mark, I mean it, I said, lifting my wine glass. Thank you. This whole nightmare would have been so much worse without you. It's my job, he said, his glass tapping mine. And for the record, you're one of the most clear-headed and decisive clients I've had. A person like you is going to be just fine. You're just being nice. No, I'm not, he insisted, his gaze steady. I see so many people who just break. They get torn down in a marriage and are too afraid to ever fight for themselves. Your ability to see the truth of the situation and act on it so fast, that takes real courage. I smiled, but the word felt wrong. It wasn't courage. It was the last resort of someone who'd been backed into a corner. So, what's next for you? Mark asked. I think I'm going to take a breath. Maybe travel, find a new job, I said. These last few months have been a special kind of hell. You've definitely earned a break, Mark agreed. And listen, if you ever need more legal advice, just call. It's on the house. For a friend. My gut instinct was to refuse. I couldn't. Why not? Olivia jumped in. My cousin's a good guy, Jess. Stop being so formal. Okay, then. Thank you, Mark. Just Mark, he corrected gently. Mr. Chen sounds like my dad. Dinner was incredible. Mark offered a ride home, but I had my car. Thanks, though. All right, drive safe, he said, waiting by my door until I was buckled in. Keep in touch. You too. A few blocks later, stopped at a red light, my eyes drifted to the sidewalk. And then I saw him. Brian. He was with a young woman holding the door of a sleek BMW for her as they left a cafe. She was laughing, her face lit up with that same glow I once had. The light turned green. My foot hit the gas. In the rearview mirror, the BMW shrank, a tiny silver speck, before vanishing completely into the river of taillights. I felt nothing. Not a single spark of anger or sadness. It was like watching a scene from a movie I'd already forgotten. So that's what it felt like. Not hate, not rage, but a quiet, clean indifference. His life was his own now, a story I was no longer a character in. My story was just starting. Ahead, the streetlights blinked on, lighting my way home. And at the end of that road, there was a warm light, my parents, and a bed where I knew I could finally truly rest. And that was enough. It was more than enough. After the townhouse sold, I moved back into my childhood home. Mom immediately redid my old room. New bedding, new curtains, and shelves filled with pictures of a girl I barely recognized. Mom, I'm only here for a little while. You didn't have to do all this, I said, touching a photo of me with missing front teeth. What do you mean, a little while? This is your home, she said, straightening a frame. Look at you. So cute. That's your 5th birthday. Your elementary school graduation. The day you left for college. She pointed to each memory, her voice thick with love. Mom, I whispered, wrapping my arms around her. Thank you. Silly girl, she murmured, patting my back. As long as you're happy, I'm happy. Happy. Yeah, I think I was. The past month had been quiet and full. Work, weekends with my parents, wine nights with Olivia. Brian and his family were like the phantom limb of a bad memory. I knew it had hurt once, but the feeling was gone. Olivia still gave me the occasional update. Brian's love life was a dumpster fire. The women he was interested in weren't interested in him, and he wasn't interested in the ones who were. Linda's divorce was done. Her ex got the house and their son. Sharon apparently had a health crisis after the news and was constantly at the doctor's. I'd just listen and say, "Oh," before changing the subject. I had truly moved past it all. I didn't even have the energy for schadenfreude. In early November, my company announced a team-building trip to a hot springs resort. "Jess, are you going?" my coworker Amy asked, practically vibrating with excitement. "I heard they have a barbecue and a bonfire. It's supposed to be amazing." "Sure, why not? A little relaxation sounds good," I agreed. "Great, we can be roommates. I have so much to tell you." The day of the trip was sunny and crisp. On the bus, I put in my headphones, watching the scenery blur past. "Jess, look," Amy whispered, nudging me. I followed her gaze. A few rows up, the new intern, Emily, was blushing as she offered a water bottle to a familiar face. Mark Chen. "Mr. Chen, Mark, I brought you a water." "Thank you," he said with a polite smile that made her turn beet red. "What is Mark doing here?" I murmured, surprised. "Mr. Henderson invited him," Amy dished. "Apparently he helped the company win a huge lawsuit, so this is a thank you trip to, strengthen the relationship." "Ah, I think our little intern has a massive crush," Amy added, her eyes twinkling. "Can you blame her? He's handsome, successful, and totally single." She wiggled her eyebrows at me. "Jess, maybe you should think about it." "Don't be ridiculous," I said, tapping her arm. "That's the last thing on my mind right now." "I'm just saying, get to know him. No one's asking you to walk down the aisle." I just closed my eyes, pretending I wanted to nap, but I couldn't stop Mark's face from swimming into my thoughts. He was definitely attractive, but that was it. My heart was closed for business. At the resort, Amy and I claimed our room. After we unpacked, we headed for the hot springs. I found a small, secluded pool and sank into the blissfully hot water. Enjoying the peace and quiet? I opened my eyes. Mark was sitting on the opposite side of the pool, his outline soft in the rising steam. "Mark," I acknowledged with a nod, "it's beautiful here." We sat in a comfortable silence for a moment. "How have you been, really?" he asked suddenly. The question caught me off guard, but I found myself giving an honest answer. "Good. Lighter than I have in years." "That's good to hear," he said, his gaze meeting mine. "Sometimes ending the wrong thing is how you start the right one." "You sound like you know that from experience." "I do," he said, his voice even. "I'm divorced. 5 years ago. My ex-wife had an affair. I tried to make it work, but she didn't want my forgiveness. We spent 2 years making each other miserable before we finally called it quits." I was stunned. "I'm sorry, I had no idea." "It's fine. It's ancient history," he said with a small smile. "But it taught me that some people just aren't worth the fight. Letting go is the kindest thing you can do for yourself." "So you're the reason I got out so fast," I mused. "No, that was all you," he corrected. "You were decisive. So many people know they're drowning, but they're too scared to swim for the lifeboat. The fact that you knew after 3 months, that's remarkable." It didn't feel remarkable. I was just desperate, I admitted, staring into the swirling water. If I had stayed in that house one more day, I think I would have actually lost my mind. "That's my point. You had clarity," Mark said. "I've seen so many women, especially, who just vanish inside a marriage. They give everything, and in the end, they're treated like they were nothing. The way you stood your ground is admirable." I just smiled. I hadn't stood my ground. I'd just finally learned how to fight back. "So, what are the plans now?" he asked, shifting the topic. "Work. Live, I said. Maybe move. I'm getting a little tired of this city. It's just a thought, nothing concrete yet. If you ever need help, just ask, he offered. I have contacts in a few other cities. I could float your resume. Thank you. You're welcome. We talked for a while about everything and nothing. It was easy, comfortable. After the Springs, we all gathered for the barbecue. Amy immediately cornered me. So, what were you and Mark talking about for so long? Do you think he's into you? We were just talking, Amy. Don't be weird. He was just being nice. I don't think so. The man could not take his eyes off you, she insisted. I waved her off and went back to my food, but her words echoed in my head. A new beginning. Did I even have the courage for that? Later, at the bonfire, it was Mark's turn to perform. He sang an old folk song, The Story of Time. His voice was low and rich, and in the flickering firelight he looked almost gentle. I listened, wrapped in the melody, feeling a strange and unfamiliar stirring in my chest. The click of the key in the lock was a familiar sound, but the scene that followed was a nightmare. Brian walked in, all smiles, with his mother Sharon trailing him like a vulture. "This master bedroom will be perfect for me," Sharon announced, striding past me into the heart of my home. My blood ran cold. "And Tim and his wife can take the guest room," Brian added, completely ignoring the look of sheer disbelief on my face. A knot of ice formed in my stomach. They were carving up my life, my space, without even looking at me. "We have to consolidate," Sharon said, her voice dripping with false sympathy. "Consolidate? Here?" I finally found my voice, a thin, sharp thing. "This is my house." Brian wrapped a possessive arm around me. "It's our house now, sweetie, and my family needs us." His touch felt like a chain, and then it happened. A sudden sickening click in my head. The last 3 months, the rushed wedding, his vague finances, the focus on this property, it all coalesced into one ugly truth. I wasn't his wife. I was his landlord, the key to a life my parents had paid for. The disbelief froze, then hardened into something cold and sharp. I pulled away from his touch, and the air crackled with the shift. I looked him dead in the eye, my voice a shard of glass. "No." "No?" he repeated, confused. "No," I said, my voice ringing with a strength I didn't know I had. "No one is moving in. Both of you need to get out. Now." Brian tried to placate me, calling me hysterical, but his mask was slipping. "There is nothing to talk about," I cut him off. "This marriage is a sham, and it is over." His face twisted from fake concern into pure, cold fury. "You will regret this," he snarled. "The only thing I regret is ever meeting you," I said, pointing to the exit. I didn't wait for them to leave. I slammed the heavy oak door right behind them. The sound was the most beautiful thing I had ever heard. I slid the deadbolt home. My phone buzzed instantly, a text from Brian. "You're making a huge mistake. You need me." A bitter, humorless laugh escaped my lips. I didn't hesitate. I pressed the screen, my fingers steady. Block number. I did the same for Sharon. Then I sank to the floor, my back against the door, finally the sole guardian of my own sanctuary. The tears came, but they weren't for him. They were a final cleansing flood for the naive girl who had walked into this trap. I cried for her, and then I let her go. A deep, quiet calm settled over me. The storm had passed. Outside, the world kept turning, but inside my house, inside me, there was only the profound, terrifying, and exhilarating silence of being completely and utterly free.